Hey everyone, today we're taking a look at the Doc Nocturnal and Case of the Shrieking Yeti 2-pack. This one was a Mezco exclusive, and I believe it's sold out now, but hopefully this review will help you decide if you want to hop on the wait list, sometimes those convert, or try to track it down secondhand. Here's a look at the packaging. It's very large. Here's another figure for scale. The artwork's really cool. We've got Doc Noc's face and then the Yeti in the background here. And I like the font and stuff they used for the title. We'll zoom in a little bit so you can see a bit more of all that. Then the title on the side. More art on this side. Even more art on the back. These might be panels from the comic. I haven't read the comic yet, but it does come with a comic. And there's also some more art on the top and the bottom. Here are both the Yeti and Doc Noc out of the package. This isn't how Doc Noc will look right out of the package. I've got him kind of kitted up a bit. I was playing with him on my desk for a while. I really like the way Doc Noc looks aesthetically. The Yeti's okay, and I already had one issue right off the rip when I took him out of the package. One of his tusks was missing. I ended up finding it just kind of rolling around in the package. It came off and luckily didn't break. So I think I can just glue it back in there, but it's unfortunate that I have to do that, especially on an expensive figure. Plus these tusks are pretty hard plastic, so it feels like if this guy takes a shelf dive, that's just gonna break off. I've already seen some other people have them broken in the package, so that's pretty unfortunate. We'll take a closer look at the Yeti first, since there's less overall to talk about here, I think. I like the sculpt on the face. It has kind of like an Oni look. I can see some people not loving that, since he has the third eye in the center of his forehead. And it kind of deviates from a traditional Yeti, or at least what I would think of one. Really nice paint there though. There's some purple undertones and then the blue and like a white dry brush over top of that. And then around the mouth there's an even lighter blue. And the teeth look nice and scungy, and the pink inside the mouth is painted well. So great paint work on that. There's not a ton of paint otherwise, since this figure is covered in fur. It feels like a pretty tight bodysuit over the base figure, which I believe the toy page had asked Mezco about, and they said it was the Thor Ragnarok Hulk body, I believe. So just kind of fuzzy white all around. It's kind of messy fur. I did have some shedding initially when I took him out of the package, so you may have some of that. I think it's mostly got the shedding off by now. For some of the other painted parts though, his hands will be painted. Again in blue with some kind of navy blue undertones here. And then the nails are nice and glossy with brown and gray with like a wash on those to make them look scungy. Same with the other hand. The hands are in slightly different poses. This one's more tightly gripped and this one's more like open and reaching. But they're both painted and sculpted well. I think the nails look kind of gross because they're less like claws and more like just grown out long nails. Then down at the feet, very similar in paint. Those also look like just gross long toenails. It does have peg holes on the bottom of the feet. And these are also painted and sculpted well with a lot of texture. And a wash and a dry brush on top. So they did a good job with the little amount of paint there is on the Yeti here. I guess I don't know what else they could have done to make him. I mean, with the fur, I guess you could have airbrushed the fur some. It does look like the body underneath is blue. So if you spread the fur out a bit, you see a little bit of blue peeking through there. I'd be curious to see if somebody removes the fursuit on their Yeti, but I won't be doing that. Otherwise, he's pretty big. He has nice proportions. He looks like a big, chunky, fuzzy Yeti. I can see this fitting in with a few different kinds of displays, from Christmas to horror to even like Star Wars. Maybe even like that Yeti-looking Odious, if that gets funded. That would be cool. Not a ton of alternate accessories for the Yeti, just these two alternate faces. Also both painted well. Both the tusks were on these, luckily. I like this screaming one a lot. And then he'll come with this golden horn. And it looks like it has a Yeti face on the front. That's fun. And it's kind of spiky and it's sculpted well. And this is supposed to have a magnet in it to turn on the lights in the Yeti face. Let's turn my lights off so we can see it. There we go. It's not super bright. It's brighter in person than it is on camera though, and it looks pretty neat. And if you touch it to like the front of his face, that's where it works the best, like right between his eyes. And to swap the faces, you just pull those straight forward. Oop. And the little LED module is attached to the back of the face, so they have to pull that off. And then you can slot it into another face, hopefully. Yeah. And there's a screw there if you want to replace the batteries. They're pretty like tiny watch batteries. And there's the face hole. And we can just pop that back in there. There's what that one looks like. Also pretty cool. Again, it looks cooler in person than on camera. This eye's got some extra paint on it, it looks like. I think I can probably try to scrape that off. And then we'll just run through the Yeti articulation while we're here. The head feels like it's sculpted like this, and then there's a peg back in here, like a double ball peg. So it can shift around on that. It can't look up very far though, because the back of this head section bumps into the body. I wish it didn't have that, and whatever plastic is in here, I wish this was shaved off so he could look up more. So he's only gonna look up that much. Down pretty well though. The suit kind of makes the head spring back a little bit. And then some good side to side tilt so you can get some nice expressions out of him. And it does otherwise move nicely and feels like natural movement, so I like that. And you can kind of tilt it side to side like this a little bit, but the suit will get in the way some there as well. At the shoulders, we're just kind of blindly feeling in here. So they'll go up. This one's going up more than this one. I don't want to force it. But that's the max range. This one only wants to go up to there though right now. And I would say just try to feel where the joint is before really moving it a ton, so you don't snap anything in there. Let's see, is there a bicep swivel? It doesn't feel like there's a bicep swivel. There's a single jointed elbow that doesn't get the most range. Feels like less than 90 degrees. And there is a swivel on that. Then at the hands, there's a ball hinge here, so no real limitations there. That's good. At the torso, let's see. It feels like there's a, can't really tell if there's a cut for the diaphragm. It might just be like sculpted abs under there, but there's definitely a ball joint at the waist. So leaning back, he'll go back this much. Pretty decent. And then forward. Yeah, I think it's just the waist joint. Not a ton, just slightly hunched. A little bit of side to side tilt, not a lot, and then some pretty good rotation. Again, limited by the suit, but it feels like the waist is pretty round, so these not really clashing on the plastic there when you rotate it. The hips will go out pretty far, actually. There is a thigh swivel, I think just a single jointed knee in there. Yeah, and it doesn't get the most range. He just kicks back a little bit. Oh, and the leg at the hip won't go back any because there's a sculpted butt cheek in here. It might be a double jointed knee and it just doesn't get a ton of range because it doesn't feel like it rotates like a single jointed knee would be. And then for the ankles, there's another ball hinge. Thought it was a ball hinge. It's actually a double ball peg. My bad. So this will go back not very much before it pops off. I wish they had just done these ball hinges for the feet. Let me try to pop this back on. So back, not very far. Forward, not really any at all. And then just like a little bit of wiggle side to side. It goes out more than in, which isn't helpful for standing. So kind of disappointing articulation at the feet. They should have just done these big ball hinges. Okay, now on to the main reason I got this 2-pack, the snow-themed Doc Noc. So this mask doesn't come on him in the package. This is one of the accessories, so we'll just kind of blend the aesthetic and accessories sections. There's no rules here. These goggles have a little elastic band on them. I think those look pretty neat. This mask is great. It's like translucent blue, but also painted silver on the inside. So it has this kind of like metallic look to it. And it's kind of a soft plastic, so you can just slip it over the Doc Noc head. Let's see if we can get his head out. So you can see there's silver paint in there. And then it just really makes this translucent blue pop. So there's his face underneath the mask, and that's what he'll actually look like in the package. He won't have the mask on. And that's painted well, just like the first Doc Noc head. I wonder if this is different at all. I think it looks the same, but let me check. Okay, so here's the head from the Monster Who Hunts Monsters version of Doc Noc. Same head sculpt, just a slight variation in paint. And then this little plug in the back of the head is blue on this one, where on this one it was like a golden color. His hood has a silver lining, like it's insulated, and then around the edge there's a bit of fuzziness to it. The coat in general feels kind of like a faux suede. It feels like nice and soft. I like it. And it's an off-white, so the bright white kind of contrasts that a bit. On the top of the jacket here along the shoulders, there's kind of like a spider web motif. This blue harness, the top part won't come on him in the package. I put that on there. So we'll go over some of these accessories. He's got a little knife with like a tanto blade. It's painted well and it's kind of like a metallic blue. And this just like hooks onto the belt here. and then in the back as well. And back here he has a folding shovel that I popped in there. And there's a little elastic section. So that'll unfold like that. And that's pretty nice. I like that. We'll go ahead and take this off. Underneath you can see he has a bright blue shirt. You can take the jacket off, I've seen. I'm not going to take it off, but it feels like there's just like a Velcro strip in there. But there's this bright blue sweater. Down at the belt he has a buckle that kind of functions. It pops out a decent amount on mine, so I don't love that, but it looks cool. This extra bit is also an accessory that I popped on there. It has a holster on it and then two little hooks for these climbing pickaxe things. I don't remember what these are called. But these also have kind of a spider webby design on the handles, so that's fun. I like that even though everything's just blue and white, it's different variations of blue and white. More fuzziness above the gauntlets, and then the gauntlets are painted well with different variations of blue. Some gold accents as well, and silver accents. On this one, he has this little like watch communicator device that I believe is supposed to flip up. Yeah. Oh no, I think I popped it off the hinge. Let's see if we can get it back. So that's pretty cool. I'll probably keep that closed most of the time. Oh no, it fell off. Okay, I popped it back on there. I'll probably just leave it closed so it doesn't fall off again. But it has a cool little skull on there. I like that. It's similar to the first Doc Noc. I think it's exactly the same, it just painted different. And some white on the underside of the gauntlet. Down here at his waist, this is also silver underneath, and there's a wire running throughout the bottom of the coat here so you can have it flowing in the wind. He also has a little hook on the back here where you can hang his snowshoes. I've got the snowshoes on him right now. Down at the boots, more fuzzies. And then the boots, again, are variations of blue, silver, and some black here. The buckles are painted nicely, and all the little buttons and rivets. And his snowshoes just peg on the bottom of the feet there. And these also have a spider web design on them and a little skull. And there's a hinge here so you can slide his foot in. I'll probably end up keeping these on him. One, because I think they're neat and they go with his little outfit. And because it'll help him be stable on the shelf. Here's a look at the cape I took off earlier. It has a cool design. And there's a wire running down the edges here. And there's that fuzziness there. And then the whole cape itself is bright white, although it feels like the suede texture. And then the inside is bright blue. For some other accessories, he'll come with this revolver. It has a little skull on the side there. And this cylinder rotates a little bit. And it has that same blue and silver color scheme going on. This can fit in the holster on the figure here. And there's a wire running up this and a little piece of spandex in the back. It doesn't really fold over the back of the revolver grate though. It's usable, it's fine, it just doesn't look the best. It'll also come with this gun. It's more of like a rifle or submachine gun. And it has a wooden stock on it and a strap. The strap's a little folded up just from how it was in the packaging. I think once it's out for a bit, that'll go away. It'll come with this dual bladed knife thing. I like the design of this. I don't know how practical it is, but it has some little battle damage marks on it and some nice bright silver, and it folds in half. So here we can see there's a little tab, and if you pull that part of the handle up and then fold the blade on top of itself, it folds up nicely, and then you can probably store it either just on the belt or in one of these little spandex loops here, or elastic loops rather, like that. So I think that's pretty neat. I like when a figure has storage on it where you can put stuff. For some other bits and bobs, they'll come with 6 grenades, 2 of which have a little skull on them, and then 4 of them are just blue and cylindrical. And then this communicator of some sort. All these are painted well, and those can also slip into some of the elastic sections like this on the holster thingy. And those hold pretty well. It's pretty tight, so I don't think they're gonna fall out. They'll come with this grappling hook, and the little spikies on this fold out. And this has a very long string on it. I measured the rope and it's about 4 feet long. Another detail on the top here is a little skull. I don't remember what they call this in the lore, but it's another kind of grappling hook, a little grabby hand one. This is the compact version. And then there's an extended version that has a bendable wire. So you can get that posed around and looking neat. And it has a white wire and the blue coloration on the metal bits. Then it'll come with this snowy bear trap, or I suppose a Yeti trap in this case. This is the same one that came with Alistair Gangrene, just painted to look snowy. And you can fold these down by pushing down this little metal piece, and then you fold down the jaws. You might have to pull it over this little hook here on one side, and then it does stay open, and it should work when you push down on it. It doesn't have a ton of force and isn't like sharp inside or anything, so it shouldn't hurt you. For hands, fist hands will come on him in the package, but he'll also come with some gripping hands to hold the knife and foldable knife thing, some trigger finger hands, 3 different variations of those to hold the revolver or the rifle differently and have the finger like out on the trigger or gripped around it. Some open hands. These have like a flat palm and the thumb tucked in. This one's kind of for grabbing the front of the rifle, and then some like reaching or grabbing hands. Finally, they'll come with 2 of these display stands that say Doc Nocturnal in the case of the Shrieking Yeti. Both are exactly the same. And then those will both come with a little clampy arm and also a little baggie for accessories. For articulation, I'm just going to keep his mask on because that's how I'll have him displayed most of the time. But he has a double ball peg at the neck, and with that he can look up not a ton, down an okay amount until he buries his chin into the coat, and some side to side tilt. And you can get a lot of nice nuance posing on that double ball peg. The shoulders will go up very far. It doesn't look like they go up as far as they do because of the bulk of the coat, but they go up past 90 degrees. Maybe having them both up will help. Yeah. You don't get full rotation because of the coat, of course. There's a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, but There is a decent amount of fabric in the way, so it's not going to get a ton of range. It's still pretty good though. There's rotation at the gauntlet, and then ball hinges at the wrist. For the waist, there is feels like a ball peg at the diaphragm and then one at the waist. So we'll just do them both all together since it's going to be hard to kind of isolate each joint. All right, if we bend him back too far, he's going to pop his belt, but that's about the max range. And then forward, let's put his belt back on. A decent amount. It doesn't look like a ton, again, because of the coat, but he has a pretty good bend there. I think I mentioned this before, but the belt does tend to pop apart on mine. I wish I had just a little bit more slack for posing. And it's hard to get it plugged back in on camera. There is a little bit of rotation on those joints and side to side tilt. So I think it'll be pretty good, especially for a guy in a heavy winter coat. At the hips, these will go out to the side about this much before the pants start getting taut. You can kick forward this much. Back just a little bit. There is a thigh swivel. This leg on mine is a little bit looser than I would like. I might contact Mezco and ask if perhaps I could get a replacement, because there's not really a way to be able to tighten the joint without removing stitching and things, so we'll see. Double jointed knees to get really good range. The pants don't hinder the knee joint at all. Rotation at the top of the boot. And then the feet will go back this much forward. Not as much because of the bulky armor in the front, but if we wiggle it and scooch it up a decent amount. And then there is an ankle rocker. So pretty good range, especially considering all the clothing on him. My only concern, again, is that one hip joint. So hopefully that's not a widespread issue. For size and comparison, Doc Noc is standing at about 6¼ inches tall, or 15.7 centimeters. And the Yeti is at almost 8 inches tall, or about 20 centimeters. Here they are next to the Mezco Alistair Gangrene and the previous Doc Noc, the monster who hunts monsters. I had Doc Noc kind of posed up like he's descending from his grappling hook and didn't want to unpose him all the way. But you can see they're about the same height. I really like the way this new one looks. I love the mask on it, and I don't know, just the overall aesthetic I think is great. Here they are next to Odious from Unparalleled Universe and the Mezco Woodford, Doc Noc's little frog butler guy. If you haven't already, be sure to go check out the new Odious Kickstarter, The Cowboy and the Soldier. Here they are with the Hero Toys Gramash Hellscream and 1000 Toys Hellboy. And finally, an SH Figuarts Naruto and Marvel Legends X-Men 97 Nightcrawler. Overall, I really like Doc Noc. He's not perfect. The belt annoys me a little bit because it pops apart a decent amount. And I don't love that his one hip feels a little loose right out of the box. But I love the way he looks. The color scheme is great. I love the new mask, and he has a lot of fun accessories. The Yeti is fine. I wish his suit wasn't as tight so you could pose him a bit better, or some of the articulation underneath wasn't as hindered. Especially on the head, I feel like some plastic could have been trimmed there so he could look up more. I think he's gonna look cool in a display, but he's not gonna be the most fun to handle and pose. Whereas Doc Noc, that's a figure that I think will be fun to handle and pose. I do worry a little bit about the longevity of the fur on the Yeti and slightly about any staining on Doc Noc. That wouldn't have been something I'd be worried about in previous years, but this past year we had a house fire and pretty much any white figures got stained with soot. And maybe that's just at the top of my mind because it was like the week or two after I got the previous Doc Noc figure, and I didn't even get a chance to review that one. So I feel like I didn't really get to enjoy that Doc Noc just because we had a house fire and everything so soon after. So that's probably influencing why I like this one more as well, just because now I have time to sit with this one and I can enjoy it and play with it, and I don't have outside traumatic events happening yet, hopefully. So I guess all that's just to say my review is probably a little biased. I like him a lot. Would I pick up the set for both of them? I don't know. I think if you're gonna track it down secondhand, maybe see if you can just get Doc Noc for cheaper, unless you really want the Yeti. And if you do really want the Yeti, I could see people selling it for cheaper without Doc Noc just to get rid of it. I think it's not gonna have a lot of mass appeal. I think the unique design on the face is great, but my guess is it won't appeal to everyone. And that combined with the fur seems like it's not gonna be one everybody loves. So I hope you enjoyed this review and it helped you decide if you wanted to get this figure or not. Let me know in the comments what you think about this set and if you like it better than the previous Doc Noc figures, or just leave a little snowflake emoji. Don't forget to like the video. Thank you for watching. Remember to be kind to yourself and others. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.